Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Sorry my voice is a little bit messed up. I've had a cold this weekend. I think I'm finally coming off of it though. So today I wanted to talk about, what does freedom look like? If you haven't seen the documentary of this island here that's just like here just to the left of me, or to the right of me if you're watching this video, it's Tristan de Cunha. It's the most isolated place on earth. It's like 1,800 miles west of Cape Town in South Africa, out in the ocean, like 1,750 miles, or like 2,800 kilometers, directly west. And that's like the closest thing. I think the closest island is, I can't remember the name of it. It's like Georgia or Atlanta or something like that. It's either those two names. I'm getting them one or the other wrong. Anyway, it was founded by this Spanish explorer who finally put it on the map. His name was Tristan de Cunha, I think was his actual name. It's just a volcano in the middle of nowhere. This other island right next to it is called the Inaccessible Island. It's inaccessible because a lot of cliffs. And then there's another island just down below it that the islanders go to that actually has some available beach line, so they go and visit it. I think they fish part of that island. But settlers started moving there back in the late 1800s, I believe. And in 1961, the volcano blew. They had to evacuate the island, and so they evacuated almost over 260 people off of this island to England in 1961. But then 198 of them, 3/4 of the population that left, wanted to go back in 1963 when the English government said it was safe to go back. Now, why would somebody want to go? And so this is a psychological question, and I really want you guys to think about this. And this is a really powerful message. If you look up on YouTube, look up the video of the documentary of this place. And the name isn't in the title, but if you search the name, Tristan de Cunha, it'll say like most isolated place in the world. Think about why you'd want to live there. For one thing, there's only 6 families that live there. I think there's 6 last names that are still there on this island from the original settlers. They're all descendants of the original people that moved there, because the island, there wasn't really anything there. I mean, before they named the island during I think it was Queen Mary's time, because I think the peak is called St. Mary's Peak, the volcano. There was actually a move to go get more women on the island because most of the people were men. So they got more women on the island, and I can't remember where they got them from, but maybe the English government helped them, bring more women onto the island. But then once they got into a regular cycle where they kind of were meeting their own needs, you can't move there. You can go visit, but I think your time is limited there too, because they only have so many resources. There's only one small plot of land that is habitable there. It's on the northwestern side of the island. And actually, if you look at this picture, it says Edinburgh of the Seven Seas right there in the upper left-hand portion, and that's where this place is at. And even today, there's like 240 people there. It's like 220, 240 people, and the population is slowly going down because they're an aging population. You can't move more people there. For one thing, their resources are finite, and so they don't take visitors. Not only that, but think about the risks of bringing somebody onto your place where you're that isolated. Like if you had a mass murderer or anybody who's, prone to theft or anything, you've got to do something with them. You would have to lock them up, dispose of them in some way. My ex-wife's grandpa grew up on the Columbia River in northern Washington. He was born in 1919, I believe. He was either 1917 or 1919. So he saw the Columbia River before Grand Coulee was built. He lives on the portion of the river north of Grand Coulee, but back then he said it was Turtle Falls. I talked to him before he died. He actually died at 100 years old. He was an amazing person. Did a lot of volunteer work for the education community, a lot of stuff. Really awesome guy. It took him 40 years to build a stone house. He started in 1940 and finished it in 1980. Amazing what this guy did. But he went to war in World War II. In 1938, I believe, he left. And so by the time he got back in the early 40s, the dam was built, and he was living next to a lake. But he talked about how, because it was a small community. He lives just right next to Inchelium. If you look at it on a map, you'll see Inchelium is just a small little town, and it's on the Colville Indian tribe here in northern Washington. But back then, if they had somebody in the community that, let's say, they were a child molester or something like that, they would just take them out, tie a rock to their leg, and throw them off the ferry. Right? What are you going to do with them? You can't have somebody like that in your community, and if you try to release them and just let them go, if they're comfortable where they're at, they're more likely going to come back. So that's the same thing that a place like this would have to deal with. Nobody locks their doors, right? If kids are out playing, they don't need to be supervised. Anybody that's walking by will say, hey, how you guys doing? Because they're all family, right? They treat each other like family. So they're on their own schedule. There's no set times for anything. So think about what it would have been like to go to England after that. They went into a system of bureaucracy, mills, industrial life where nobody's connected. Everybody's trying to make a buck. There's no money on this island. Everybody is there to serve each other for the whole. And think about the psychology. How you are freer. You would be freer on an island of 250 people out in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean than in a country where you have access to everything. Because nobody trusts. And nobody's working together for a common cause. This is the point and the message of my channel, right? When you create a system to keep people honest out of fear instead of love, then that's no freedom at all, right? And if you watch the documentary and what goes on this island, they've got their own bar. I mean, if you're there and you go to the bar, you could probably get a couple drinks. There's no money. They just probably distill their own liquor on the island, but you have to, everyone knows each other. So it's not like you can take more than the other people, because everybody come after you. He's like, hey, look, what are you doing? We have finite resources. You can't drink up a whole jug of whiskey when you go to the bar. You'd be like, yeah, I know. And then, if you kept getting yourself in trouble, eventually you'd get kicked off. Right? That's how a healthy community works, is you keep each other honest. And it's got nothing to do with money. It's got to do with how you love one another and how you support one another and what you're going to build together and what you decided to do together. Because, if the group doesn't want to do something, that you have to do what the group wants you to do, right? You can't narcissistically just come in there with a lot of cash and throw your weight around. It wouldn't work. This place is a wholesome community. And so they understand that, right? I mean, that means that they felt freer going back home than they felt staying in England. And the people that stayed were probably younger people that wanted to go to school and just wanted to experience more of the... But, if you're older, like in your 30s, 40s, 50s, and you saw the way people were living, you could see how much stress they were going through and how uncommunicative people would be, right? I mean, the amount of stress in 1960s England compared to living on an island where all you got to do is grow your own potatoes and do the things you need to do for each other, and then trade your fish to whoever's showing up to trade for whatever it is they're bringing. Who would pick staying in England, right? Yeah. Just something for you guys to think about. Had a great weekend. I hope you guys had a great weekend. It's the psychology of feeling like you belong to part of a community that doesn't set one person up higher than somebody else. And you couldn't, right? Because if you tried to, they'd just knock you down. It's too small, right? No. You're just, you're not gonna tell us all what to do. We're gonna do what we want. You know what I mean? Um, yeah. There is a way that you can structure relationships so that they keep growing. It's not easy. It's not something that you can just, if you don't know, then you just don't know. Yeah. Anyway, love you guys, and maybe I'll bring some. I went to my. So I finally found my nieces this weekend, and I had this conversation with my brother because my brother is writing a book about a moneyless society and why, right? What brings value? What brings value in your relationships is the time and energy that you share together. It's got nothing to do with money, right? I mean, everyone's in the society that we live in now. You have to have it, or else you're gonna die. But if you just keep putting things out there and you show your love for the people around you, that's the most important thing, right? A lot of times communities have to fall apart before people realize that that's the most important thing. Think about the fires in California. When tragedy strikes, that's when community starts to become closer. And people actually even talked about it. They said it was a shame that they didn't even know their neighbors until their houses burned down. Why is that the case? Why does it take something like that before people get to know each other and want to spend time together? It's something that pulls me away from even wanting to make this YouTube channel, because it feels like, in a lot of ways, you're wasting your time. Because I'm talking to somebody that I may never meet, and I would much rather create something and receive with you than just talk to a camera and try and become an influencer or whatever. It's a spiritual thing. Yeah, and then there's even tougher things than that, right? When you don't know, and you're not sure which direction you need to go, and if you don't, there's so many doors that are open. But if the door that you open is out of self-interest and greed, then it's usually the wrong door. And I'm as guilty of that as anybody. I haven't placed anyone's needs above my own, but I have placed my needs above people that I wasn't sure their motives, right? And I think you have to use your discernment. Until you trust your discernment, then you just don't know, right? It's best just to, sometimes you have to make head over heart decisions, and they're not easy decisions to make. Yeah. So, trust your gut. And eventually it's going to get forced, right? I mean, this is a prophetic thing. This is just an example. This place is just an example of what has to happen to communities for them to build back up again. When things start to go south, they look like they're going south, but actually the organism is healing itself from the inside out, because people are starting to work together again and support one another, and then that's when the healing happens. Love you guys. Have a beautiful day. And I'll catch you on the next one.